They played for over 20 hours. Now they answer all of our questions. There's a ton here, even stuff that no one's talked about before. So let's get on to it. What's up, world? It's here back in the video. Today we're talking about all things Hogwarts Legacy, and that is a post that was posted just yesterday, and I wanted to cover it today because they actually did update a bunch of things there. They added a bunch of new comments, so there are things that we wouldn't have covered if I would have uploaded this yesterday, so I'm kind of happy that I waited. But let's just jump right into it. Okay, so the first question is, how is the grand staircase? Are there multiple floors for us to explore? They responded, only been there once, I am taking my time. And another person commented, 20 hours in, you've only been there once, this game must be massive. And then they said, it depends if you're willing to explore. Now this question's a bit long, but I'll go through it pretty quickly. They were talking about the last year, they said there was 4 trophies that were published or showcased that were find the map chamber as a certain house, and have you found the map chamber in general? And then he said, I've got the trophy for my house, I think you just have to be there. So it must just be something that you just show up as. And again, this is just for some good replayability to be able to do things as a certain house. If you're a trophy hunter, you're going to have to play the game 4 times. Next question asks, is there anything that surprised you or wowed you? The world and its characterization, the school, the details, pretty much everything you see. Only The Witcher is comparable. I do want to mention that earlier someone did bring up Witcher, and they did say that it's not as mature themed as The Witcher, but it kind of has that sort of same style. They also did compare it to Fable, and they said it kind of played like that. Now if it plays like Fable 2, I'm going to absolutely love the game, because Fable 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. I really did enjoy Fable 3, but it just didn't have the same merits as Fable 2. Still was a really good game. Our next question here is, have you unlocked the talent system? If so, how is it? And they said it's okay, but this is one of the aspects I was disappointed of. It's too simplified. They could have made it like a skill tree for each spell and ability. So it seems like we're just gonna have some sort of picked spell, and there's no sort of actual like attributes to the spells. It's just if you want to use this spell, and there's no sort of talent tree to it. So it's kind of takes away from the RPG aspects of it in a kind of sort of way, because that's part of the RPG, is having those sort of skill trees and being able to kind of morph your character into how you wanted it to be. Although the more I hear about this game, the more and more I keep hearing people say this is not an RPG, this is not a Hogwarts simulator, it's just a storyline game, which is a little saddening. I do hope there's more elements there to create a little bit more of an RPG aspect, but who knows. The next question is there rain in the game, and how does the day and night cycle work? They said yes, there is a day and night cycle like in any other open world. I have no idea how seasons work though, still haven't progressed that much through the main quest. And they did say in another response here that they were searching around during the summertime, so I assume that the seasons will go pretty quickly, and it did seem like there was a winter and all that in fall, so that's kind of cool that there's actually season changes as well. This person said, I know you've already said the castle is huge, but are there many secret passages locked behind spells? And they said a few, and a lot of collectible puzzles, small tasks, all different from one another. Now I assume they're not that far in the game, so they probably haven't been able to exactly find all of these different areas, but it is nice to know that there are spells that will unlock certain things and in that nature, even though there's no like RPG element or talent system to them. It's still nice to know that there's some sort of mechanic there with them. Now this person did ask about any idea on how many side quests, and he said it seems like some pops up only if you happen to be around, and some once you progress the main story. So it's basically like any other RPG in that aspect, where quests don't always show up unless you've completed previous quests, so that is good to note there. And someone did ask the same question, and they had a slightly different response, which is no, not really, but there is a lot to do, and side quests are fascinating when they're not too simple. So there's probably like a couple of simple side quests just showcasing stuff. I'm sure it gets a lot more elaborate the longer that you're playing the game, so I'm sure the side quests will be really, really fun eventually, and they're probably the beginning ones are just like introductory and stuff like that. There's another good question here. Can you customize your own room? They said, you mean the room of requirement? If so, yes, but not your dormitory. They said, thank you, and it is better than you think. It's like a game in the game, which is kind of neat. I know a lot of people like that house building. They love that being able to change things out and switch things, and it really does add to the immersion level. You know, games like Final Fantasy XIV, even though it's an MMO, people just play it for the housing, and it kind of, like, there's a whole gaming genre just for housing stuff. And I know even with New World has the same sort of thing, where a lot of people just play New World because there's like a house that you can create basically, or at least you can decorate with different things. I know a lot of people play New World just for that aspect alone. Same with Final Fantasy. So a lot of people love the house stuff. It's good to know that there's like a fully fledged sort of decorative system that is in the game itself. Now we've already had a ton of stuff about the sorting ceremony, but there's another one here, and they asked, was the sorting ceremony cool? They said was cool. Yes. I mean, if you've looked up leaks, there's a ton of footage of the sorting ceremony, so you can kind of gauge it for yourself. And it seems like people keep uploading footage every day, and I've even seen a video that never got taken down, which is kind of crazy, that it's still there with all these thousands of views. But if you want to go look for it, it's out there. Now this question today is, how much time did you spend outside of the castle ready for story progression? Does a lot of the story take place outside of the castle? And they responded with just 2 main quests outside the castle. They're really cool. The ones in the castle are introductory, I guess. So inside, outside, I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of quests in the future that are outside of the castle. There's probably just leading you to the castle to get you going and on the road and get it all set up. So there's probably going to be a lot more out there, but at the beginning I wouldn't assume that it'd be like that. So that is good to note. Now here's an interesting one. This person asked, if I were to ask you to rate the game out of 10, just based on story perspective and nothing else, even the nostalgia part, how would you rate it? And they said 8.5. And they asked, why did you rate it an 8.5? He said, because they only scratched the surface and only did a few main story quests. So that could be up, higher, or lower. Now again, if they compared it to Fable, it better be near a 10 out of 10. I'm going to say that for you, at least Fable 2. Here's another good one with game settings. Someone asked, can you turn off the obnoxious white line outline on enemies? And they said that no, that's something that bothers me too, especially in the room of requirement, but I understand why they couldn't get rid of it. And, you know, they definitely could have got rid of it. There could be a toggleable option. There's not certainly why they couldn't get rid of it. There's always a toggle, especially in sort of programming stuff like that. It's literally just like a 0 or a 1 on or off, and that's probably one of the most simplistic things to do is to turn off a setting, but unfortunately we're not going to be able to turn it off, so that's okay. From perspective, I could see why they want to just keep it on across the board to guide people and help people, but it would have been nice to turn out that outline stuff, especially like with Halo Infinite. They did the outline thing and it just did not work. This is not an Overwatch, and I really wish they wouldn't have had that outline with Halo Infinite. Same thing with this game. I wish they wouldn't have done the outline stuff. It just doesn't work for certain games, and I wish a lot more games wouldn't use it. And we do have our last question here. Without any major spoilers, what do you think of the dialogue options so far? Does it offer a lot of options, or is it more simplistic and sort of black and white, good versus evil way? Just curious what kind of roleplay we can expect. They said they are simplistic, black versus white. Yes, sometimes there is a third option, as I recall. Now again, as I've heard, this game isn't really like an RPG game, unfortunately. There isn't a lot of like RPG elements to it, aside from like your house and your wand, and I just hope it's a little bit more than what Cyberpunk offered RPG-wise, or at least as the same RPG element-wise. There should be some, I just hope there's like more than one ending, or at least there's like multiple ways to get there. And if it's just like a storyline dragging you along, it'll still be fun. I don't know. I just hope there's more there to it. But I hope I did cover a good amount here. There was actually some really good and unique questions that I thought definitely weren't covered in my other videos. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. And until the next one, deuces.